guys, this month for Foodie Book Club I read Swallow This by Joanna Blythman, and it was horrifying. It's really affected me actually. I finished reading it a few weeks ago and I probably should have made this video sooner, but it's really played on my mind, and more than that, it's kind of had a knock-on effect on my shopping habits as well. So the book's about chemicals that go into food, and actually at the beginning of the book she says, oh, you might be thinking smugly that you do all of your cooking from scratch, and I do a lot of cooking from scratch, and I know that a plasticky microwave macaroni isn't very good for you, but it's about more than that. It's about things that you don't even know are in your food. Sometimes it doesn't have to be labels that it's even in your food because they count it as part of the packaging process. So like those sliced up mangoes and cut fruit that you get, they can be dipped in things and coated with stuff to stop them from spoiling so quickly. And the same for fruit, like unpeeled fruits as well. There's a thing called Nature's Seal, and that is counted as part of the packaging process. So your apple, you know, it might be sprayed with something, and I found that really disturbing. And the other thing was that probably most resonated with me was the clean labelling. So consumers are pretty savvy to e-numbers, and you know, we avoid them because they have got a bad reputation, but companies are moving towards chemicals that are renamed so they can be passed off as a clean label thing. And one example that she uses in the book is rosemary extract, which sounds totally innocuous and fine. I like rosemary. I don't mind if there's a little bit of rosemary extract. I imagine rosemary extract to be a nice piece of rosemary leaf, maybe squished up a bit, and you know, some of the juices or oils taken out of it, but it's nothing like that. But they are relabeling such processes where there might be a teeny bit of rosemary in it, and then it can be counted as a natural rosemary flavouring because there is that teeny bit of rosemary in it, but a whole load of other stuff that's going into it too, which doesn't have to go on the label because it all falls under that whole name, our rosemary extract. I found that really worrying because I think people are a bit more savvy these days, and if I'm buying something I look and read the label and I think, yeah, I recognise that ingredient, I recognise such and such, it's fine. But it's kind of about how manufacturers can sort of bypass like the labelling process and label things a bit sneakily, well, a lot sneakily actually, and it's just turned me into a tailspin. When I come to do my shopping, I feel almost like paralysed, like I don't know if I can trust what the manufacturers are saying that is on there, and it's been really difficult actually just doing my shopping. But one thing I think the book lacks a little bit is any recommendations. So okay, you want to avoid processed foods, but should I not buy any fruits either? Like, how can I get around it? Is organic stuff still packaged in this way? It's difficult to know, and that's why I've been a little bit like in limbo since I've read it. And where I said there's something that the book falls down on is then making recommendations to say, okay, you want to avoid all of this stuff, then what? Because I you know, I've got my allotment, so I do grow some food, but nothing like all of my food, and I do buy pastas and other, like sandwiches are a big one as well. Sometimes quite frequently I'll get like a Boots meal deal, and what's inside those sandwiches, I quite like the prawn sandwiches too, and is it actually prawns that I'm getting? What's in the bread? Is it really bread? Like, what constitutes bread? How many chemicals does it have to have in it before it's not bread anymore? So yeah, there's no, she doesn't go on then to make any recommendations of what to do, and I think that's why it's caused me such anxiety, because it concerned me, but now I'm a bit like, okay, what shall I do about it? So yeah, I've got lots of seeds going in at the allotment, so maybe later in the year I'll be okay. The book is backed up by loads of scientific studies, and the appendix at the back is massive. It feels really well researched. She actually did some things where she got the catalogues from food companies, well, companies that make like the ready meals and that kind of thing, and it was a catalogue advertising the stabilizers or the shelf preserving chemicals that they can put into your food, and there's lots of catalogue descriptions of how these chemicals are being marketed to the people who are producing the meals, which I found really interesting. And there's just so many foods that are mentioned. It kind of gets a bit repetitive in that way, because it's almost like, what's going to be next? Like, can we trust anything? And that's the big thing that it's left me with, is can you actually trust the labels on food packaging? And really the outcome of the book seems to be no, you can't. And there's a big list of, like the rosemary extract, other things that are like renamed sneakily to hide them in and make them seem, oh, so wholesome and friendly, when that's not actually what they are at all. So it's a really informative book, and it's a good thing that it's made me question about the labels, and made me realise probably that I am a bit naive in thinking that what's in the packet is what it says is on the packet, although that does seem like something that you should be able to count on, but I guess it's not. So it's a really informative book. I definitely recommend it, but it's just opened my eyes to a whole new world that I didn't even think existed, which has been quite disturbing really. But I would recommend it, but just be prepared for the shake-up that it's going to make. It actually got to the stage where Trevor was like, well, what are we going to eat then? Because we've got to buy some food. And I was like, but I don't know, it might have chemicals on it. And it's not necessarily saying that all of those chemicals are bad. It's just like, I want to be able to make an informed decision and know exactly what's in my food while I'm buying it. So yeah, it's a tough one. So I've picked out a different book for next month, and hopefully something a little bit more cheery to read. So it's called Coming Home to Eat, The Pleasure and Politics of Local Food, and it's by Gary Paul Nabhan. And I've started this one already, and it's much more down that kind of getting back to your roots and finding out about local food, which I quite like, and I think it's not quite so shocking. But I'm very glad that I read Swallow This, but it's not like one of those cozy farm life reads. It's shaken things up quite a lot for me, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all. So I would recommend that you read it, and yeah, if you have already read it, let me know what you thought. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye bye. A lot of detail. It begins with him following a single grain of corn, which turns into an impossible thing.